What is your game changer? We're going to talk about that on this segment of the Gig Geezer. Today is Friday, October 10, 2025. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming by. If you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer, thanks also for coming by. Now, by definition, a game changer is something that makes a dramatic impact during a contest, or at least during an event, or you can even make, for that matter, in your life. In my background as a sports reporter, my goal was to describe and identify that crucial turning point in a game, that game changer. Some may call it a defining moment. Now the game changer was what I'd look for and what I would write about first, because people want to know who won and how it was won or lost. Then I'd segue into giving the rest of the game summary. Or for further elaboration, there was the sidebar, whose purpose was to describe in further detail the human or strategic element of how things happen. And if there was a column, then I can offer an opinion of what I saw. Now, as a sports reporter, the challenge was organizing things so that it made sense when you're writing on deadline. The main thing is that you didn't want to repeat yourself, and you always want to make sure that your thoughts were in a, for lack of better words, a sequential order, or for that matter, you can connect the dots. There's this line from start to finish. I know that I'm talking you'd have to understand what I'm talking about. When you're writing on deadline, you've got 30 minutes to write 1,000 words. Then you appreciate what you've probably seen in the past, or what people have talked about in the past. Now, what then is a game changer as it applies to delivery and transport? So this segment of the Gig Geezer is about sharing with you some of the game-changing moments that have occurred for me in the years that I've been involved in this space. This segment should also be a guide that helps you to identify for yourself any game-changing moments as well. Another way of looking at this is identifying moments that may have helped you or have taken your benefit. Another way of looking at this is identifying those things that may have helped you take your business enterprise to another level, or if not that, what proved to be most costly to your business enterprise. So here are some of those game-changing moments for me, and hopefully you'll understand where I'm going with all this. Back in the spring of 2020, Bambi ran into my 2011 Maxima while I was doing a DoorDash delivery. That car, despite having replaced 2 water pumps, also replacing rear hubs on both sides, and also an AC condenser, was still running good. I mean, I had 235,000 miles on that car. It was still running good. I mean, I always took care of it. But Bambi fucked up my day. I thought I had slowed down to allow for Bambi to sprint in front of me, but then Bambi decides to lurch left, and then bam, fucks up my Maxima. And so what ended up happening was that fortunately for me, the next day I was able to complete a transaction for then a 2018 Pathfinder. And the reason why I got the Pathfinder is because I knew the Pathfinder was built on the same platform as a Maxima and a Nissan Altima. And I also knew that the engine that was in the Pathfinder was the same as the Maxima. So therefore, I knew what I was getting into. Well, for what it was worth, while it worked and had not disappointed me, the Maxima put me in a position to take on larger DoorDash catering opportunities. And then later in the year, I happened to run into a former Amazon Flex colleague, and she turned me on to a guy who was a supervisor at Federal Express, who then brought me into their personal vehicle program. So the Pathfinder created more opportunities for me at that time, which helped me to earn more money. Also in 2020, I made count as a game changer was then adding Instacart, Grubhub, and Ubreats. That took my income from doing 4,000 a month to consistently over 6,000 a month over the next 2+ years. The next game changer is something that's been documented here on the Gig Geezer channel since December 2020. That was the transaction for this Sprinter/cargo van. And then the next game changer, I would be very candid to say, was then my adding the Geezer 16 last October. We're talking about October 2024. More than anything, the Geezer 16 has given me options that have kept me in business amid the uncertainty of things so far in 2025. And particularly earlier this year, when the Geezer van was out of service for more than 3 months. All right, so I am actually continuing this segment of the Gig Geezer, and I know how the sound is in the Geezer 16, but I left off talking about how the Geezer 16 was a game changer and how it's kept me in business. And today is yet another example. And I want to say this before I continue with my thought. I'm not advocating for somebody to get a Geezer 16 or a 16 foot or a box truck or a Sprinter van, because your game changer is going to be based on your experience. Your game changer could be just starting. Your game changer could be, and this is, I had a conversation with someone today, an actual content creator. Your game changer could be your investment in equipment, because investment in equipment is an investment in yourself and in your business. Your game changer could be that contract that you've been pursuing that can set you on the path that you've been wanting to pursue in your business adventure. I last mentioned that how the Geezer 16 has kept me in business, particularly like, for example, when the van was down, the Geezer van was down for 3 months. Well, today, I had already earned some money. I started out the day thinking that, hey, I'm going to have to, because I didn't see much of anything. I missed out on the low board-based opportunity for early this morning. Somebody took it at a much lower number than I would have taken it for. I started out the day just trying to make shit happen. In fact, what's happened is that I've kind of employed a technique or a strategy that I mentioned in this segment of the Gig Geezer. Well, sometimes you have to start with short money to get the long money, and that's exactly what's happened, almost literally in this particular opportunity. So I started out doing some short money around town, zigzagging between town, and within about 3 hours, I was up to about around $185 earned. And then, as I was actually in the parking lot of yet another local gig app-based opportunity, I happened to see something on the load board. And it was a run that I'd done previously earlier this year. In fact, famously, here's the clue and the answer on this one. It was back at the end of April, and I had on my podcast, my I'm Speaking podcast, I had as my guest the Ramrican. And I because of the timing and all, I ended up having to do the podcast while driving back from Atlanta. So that's part of the clue. So I'm about 12 minutes away from the pickup location in Myrtle Beach. And my drop-off location is the Atlanta area. And I'm doing the same run for the same money. Actually, about 10 miles shorter, but same pickup city, same drop-off location in the Atlanta area. But it would not have been possible had I not had the Geezer 16. So the Geezer 16 has been a little game changer for me. In terms of money earned, in fact, here's some numbers here. I probably mentioned them before, but I'm throwing them out again. This is what I earned so far this year using the Geezer 16, the F-150, and the Geezer van. And the Geezer van is going to include what was earned also using the Taurus before I got rid of the Taurus. So So when I resume this conversation, I'm going to show some footage from the pickup here in Myrtle Beach. And of course, I'm going to also show some footage for the drop-off location in the Atlanta area. And while I'm at it, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And if you don't like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, you can always unsubscribe, or you can give me a thumbs down. I have finished loading up this order. It's loaded. I'm leaving the Myrtle Beach area, and my main concern was getting here. The thing was getting here before 5 o'clock. And of course, while I'm filling out paperwork initially and talking to the guy, they're calling, "Hey, are you there yet?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm here. I'm talking to the guy now." So that was at 4:45. I had to be here by 5. I actually got here like 4:40. Then, what was the other thing? Loading. Well, the concern was how we're going to fit these the two pallets of carpet and then this flat skid. If I was thinking coming in that I would be able to put them in like this, but they didn't take into account the actual carpet that was kind of spilling over, and the skid itself was actually wider than what was measured. So he made the decision that yes, okay, you can stack the carpet. We can stack the carpet and just put those up in up against the wall of the truck. And he asked if I could just secure the top pallet with ratchet strap, which I did. And then we put in the flat skid behind it, and so that's going to be the first thing off. And then when I get, and then at the freight forwarding place in Atlanta, what we'll do is swing it around, have the guy to take off the top one first, and then the second one, obviously the bottom one last, and then we'll be done and I'll get paid. The other thing was the paperwork with the broker. They're big sticklers on paperwork. Most brokers are sticklers on paperwork, but this broker is even more of a stickler on when it comes to paperwork. Last time, in fact, it was not the last time I did this run back at the end of April, but there was another run that I did going to the freight forwarder where they required me to fill out this form, and I missed a number, and they sent it back to me. I don't know what you're talking about. And so they said, "This number, damn it." It's like, "Oh, that number. Okay, it has to be on there. They have to see that number on there." And so then he calls back and tells me, "Okay, you're clear to go." So in all, that was 45 minutes. We spent about 20 minutes, a good 20 minutes or so, loading the truck, trying to figure out how to get it on, how to get those three items on. And then one of the people were like, "You sure you have 3?" I'm like, "Yes, look at the picture." I sent it again and gave a description that, hey, in the background you got 2, they're stacked like this, and then in the foreground you got the flat skid. So that's all I have to share with this particular segment of the Gig Geezer. I didn't expect when I conceived this segment idea about game changers that I would be including an actual delivery opportunity, but that's the way it happened. So if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And again, as always, if you don't like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, you can always unsubscribe, or you can give it a thumbs down. I'm Inwood Lane. May your business, may your hustle, may your grind continue.